Hey folks, all right. Part 2 of the textbook, right? Moving forward with display locations and design methods, we're going to be talking about the exterior of the store, the windows, and the interior, along with some other stuff as we move further on. But just like it's important to understand the principles and elements of great artistic design, there also are some really great elements of retail design, and that's what this video is going to cover. So before we dive into some of these elements, let's just let me make this statement, and I'll keep making it, right? Visual merchandising is also known as the silent selling. It's you maximizing the exterior, interior, fixtures, signage, to tell your story and to be your salesperson when there's no salesperson around, because oftentimes we just encounter a cashier. So by using these elements of retail design, you are maximizing the amount of customers that walk in the door, how long they stay in the store, how much they spend in the store, and what kind of loyalty they have to you. Will they come back to you again? So these elements of design, of visual merchandising, are really important to really the bottom line of a retailer. So we're going to go over the elements, and much like the elements of great design, they are not in any particular order, but the one thing that is number one is that we want to grab their attention. It takes only 8 seconds to walk past a typical storefront, and that's why the exterior of the store is so important. And once someone is 2 seconds past the door, they don't turn around. So that means we have to capture them in a matter of seconds. So even for, big box retailers and luxury brands and global names, it's an incredibly short amount of time to convince someone to enter your store. And that's why grabbing that attention is really important. The exterior of the store and the windows oftentimes get people to come in when they weren't planning to come in. So think about it. Think about a time that you've been in the mall and something in the window is what actually drew you into the store. Now, once we've captured them, the next thing is known as the decompression zone. And retailers, take that first few feet within the store area for customers to adjust to that space. So more often than not, there's not a whole lot of product in the very front. Products are placed in a more sparing manner, and the lighting is great. That's where they put their best items. And often that decompression zone helps us decide whether we're going to venture further into the store or not. So, they don't want to put items in there that are going to be ignored or forgotten about. They want to put the things that are going to capture your attention. And, that decompression zone alerts customers that the environment in the store is going to be engaging, and they pay attention to those first products they see. So now that they've captured our attention, they've got us in the store, we've taken a couple steps. The next part is just that wayfinding, right? That journey that you, as a customer, that you're creating for a customer. And it really is one of the most important elements in retail design. And wayfinding in the customer journey is having clear, laid out floor plans and things that are designed with the shopper in mind. So what retailers really have to do is they have to consider the path they want their customers to take around the store, how much access they want them to have to merchandising, and wayfinding techniques are employed to aid in this journey. There is really the psychology of business, right? It talks about how right-handed people tend to walk into the store and move to the right, and left-handed people tend to walk in the store and move to their left. So the next time you venture out, whether you're left-handed or right-handed, I want you to look at what you see when you enter the store. Now, majority of human beings are right-handed. So just retail psychology has stores engaged. It have their most engaging items on the right-hand side, the things that people are most likely to see. Those are the points of contact that they want them to have when they walk into the store. So when we talk about that wayfinding piece, it's really important that stores have some kind of central way for you to make your way around the store and then delineate it. You could shops inside of shops. So when we think about, I was in Forever 21 with my daughter this morning, and Forever 21 has two really broad walkways on the left and right hand of the store that go from front to back. And separated with those two walkways front to back are all these different paths that are broken up into different vignettes, right? So there's active and dressy, and there was a really girly, florally section, and lingerie and active and tie-dye, right? So that's important, right? It's important that you set the store up in a very logical manner. Now, when we talk about a different type of store, so if we talk about some of our discount retailers, so like Ross or Burlington or TJ Maxx, their stores are set up very linear, right? So it kind of makes you, it forces you into this aisle, right? This aisle of pants or this aisle of blouses or this aisle of sweaters, so that you're more targeted. If you know what you want, you just go to that aisle, right? And that's really important for that customer journey. So part of these elements, right, is really listening and understanding your customer, right? And that is an important part of store design. So I talked about Forever 21, and I talked about discount retailers. Now, it's a much different experience if you walk into a luxury or a high-end retailer where things are much more sparsely set and set in very customer-driven. And that's intentional, right? Those luxury and department store or those brand specific retailers have, they've analyzed the brand and their customer, and they really have a deep understanding of what motivates people to shop. And they definitely put their stores together in a much different manner than the previous examples that I've given. And, part of what a luxury brand does is to exceed the expectations of their customers. So in that case, looking at the luxury and department store brands, the expectations of their customers are very, very, very different. So they really want to create an immediate response from their customers, and their creative designs are used to help hold their customers in the store. This next element is really I don't want to say much more contemporary. It's newer, and it's that interactive, immersive, or experiential experience. And as we move really to, I don't want to say away from brick and mortar stores, because they never really will go away. As we move to a multi-channel way of shopping, they need to capture our attention. Stores need to capture our attention. So when we're in a store, they need to hold us there. And sometimes interactive or experiential design elements are a great way to do that. So it's just not the music, but it's the branding, it's the touching, it's the images that are in the store. It's what gets us in the store and keeps us in the store, and maybe have us want to go home and explore their website based on our store experience. And we've talked about this. We talked about this already in the last section. Lighting, right? Lighting is extremely important. And lighting, as we talked about in the previous week, lighting creates ambiance, and it builds atmosphere, and it helps showcase product in the best possible way. And brands really have to have the best lighting to add to the retail experience. Much like the experiential element, the hero product presentation is really an emerging visual element. It's always been there, but it just kind of really didn't have a name. And it's just taking the time to learn exactly what their customers want to buy, how to appeal to them, and where in the store they look for it. So, sometimes the hero product is right in the front of the store, and sometimes it's deeper in a key, meeting point. And when I say in a key meeting point, it's part of that wayfinding, right? So you walk in the store, you go to the right, there's these huge aisleways, maybe the hero product is near the escalator, if there is one, or it's in the dead center of the store. And the hero product is the thing that grabs the customer's attention. And sometimes it's done by using mannequins, and sometimes it's by using signage. So really, by showcasing that hero product in new, innovative, eye-catching ways, retailers expand and maximize the space they have available. Even if the rest of the store design is rather simplistic, by having the central focal point can be the key that really drives people into the store. And more importantly, gets them to make the purchase. So with all of the other things that we've talked about, the other elements that we've talked about so far, one of the ones that is really important as well is flexibility, right? And it's also one of the biggest challenges for retailers is flexibility in a store. So, seasons change and product lines come and go and different promotions run, but there has to be some flexibility in the store that goes along with the seasonality. So what this means is, what this flexibility and seasonality means is that product displays can be easily added or reduced down to cater to changing products. Window displays can be easily switched in and out. And we'll get to signage later, but signage and displays can regularly be updated. And when looking to add flexibility, retailers really need to consider what elements they want to keep consistent. As customers make journeys in and out of their store at whatever time period that they normally shop, customers still need to be able to recognize merchandise in a logical manner in order to feel comfortable when shopping in the store. So although there does need to be some flexibility, the retailers still need to kind of stick to a formula. So the customers know where to go to find activewear. And more often, even though retailers can have eye-catching, well-designed stores, the stores have to be accessible to all shoppers, or they might as well put a closed sign above their door. And the aisles and displays need to be wide enough for shoppers with wheelchairs or mobility scooters or strollers, which is more the thing that more people have more than anything else, or a shopping cart if it's a store that has carts. And the shelving needs to be appropriate height so customers can reach the products. Displays need to be, they can't make walking around the store possible. Space between racks needs to be appropriately, distant from each other. There's something that's known as the butt brush effect, that we tend to shimmy through things that we don't brush up against them, and that's part of good visual merchandising, by not having people have to shimmy and not brush up against them. And the last element we're going to talk about, and this is the last. When I say last, well, I said there's no order for the other ones. One was one, but this actually is the last. And that those in the middle can kind of be in any order. But the final element of great retail design. It's just the path to purchase, right? So after they've navigated every element of the store, they found the products that they wanted, they decided, how do they get to the register, right? Where is the register? And, oftentimes this is a make or break point in the customer's journey. So retailers need to do everything that they can to encourage a sale. And that means thoughtful consideration and thought in where they position the point of sale, right? The cash desk, right? And having some logical, systems for lining and to keep customer engaged if they have long times if they may have a long wait time in line. Now, COVID has changed that, right? This path to purchase, this kind of line time has changed. So oftentimes that logical, comfortable, line up or queuing system has become really important. But there's some stores that do a great job in what's known as that compulsion purchase. I shop in home goods probably too much. In home goods, I always end up finding something in that register area, and that's really important part of the path to purchase as well. Those thoughtless purchases that you make when you're in line are really drivers. If you think about Target, you walk into Target and they have that, well, it used to be a $1 section, but it's called Bullseye Spot. Now they're things that you don't really need, but you buy, right? Again, I was with my daughter this morning in Forever 21, and we bought socks and hair clips and stuff because they were in the line, for us to make our purchase. So by really, carefully considering the positioning of register space, kind of not right at the front, but at the front, depending on the type of store, or midway into the store. It adds up to a pleasant purchasing experience and encourages shoppers to return, and hopefully return again and buy each time. And while we have many more weeks in this semester to talk about the other elements of visual design, there's a science behind it. And it's not something that really can be learned overnight. And it's something that certainly doesn't just happen. So that's what we'll be exploring throughout this lecture and moving forward in part 2 and part 3 of our textbook.